For the zigzag seam finish, you're going to take 2 sample squares and sew them together. We're going to sew it with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. I am going to backstitch at the beginning and the end. I'm first going to hold my threads to make sure that they are not in the way. 3 to 5 stitches forward, and then I'm going to push my backstitch and hold my backstitch button. 3 to 5 stitches back. Release, and always watching that I'm having a 5/8 inch seam allowance. And when I get to the end, I'm going to backstitch again, lift the presser foot, and cut my thread tail short. The next step is on your machine, adjust the stitch width buttons. You can do this in 2 ways. You can push the number 2 button on your screen, or if it's still in your straight stitch mode, you can use the stitch width buttons to increase your stitch width to 4. Now I'm going to take the seam allowances that I just sewed, and I'm going to open them up. I'm going to zigzag stitch the edge of each of these seam allowances, and that is going to prevent any type of fraying from happening. I want to keep my stitches right on the very edge. If I'm doing it in the middle, it allows area for my fabric to fray before that zigzag ever even catches it. Ideally, what will happen is your needle will go off the fabric, onto the fabric, off the fabric, on the fabric, zigzagging its way all the way down. Make sure that when your needle is supposed to go into the fabric, it actually does. So I'm keeping those stitches right along the outside edge. I'm almost slightly less than 1/8 of an inch away from center on this. Sometimes as I stitch, I'll notice that the fabric scrunches up where the zigzag is happening. That's normal and that's okay. That's a good thing. That helps to tighten up the edge of your fabric. And even if you have little edges sticking out, it'll be okay. Also, don't backstitch when zigzagging. Many times it just causes threading problems. I'm going to flip it over to the other side and do the same thing. It's only 1 layer of fabric in which I am sewing. Lining it up with the outside edge of my fabric, the inside edge of my presser foot. Again, zigzagging the entire length of the sample. This is a better example of sometimes what happens when it scrunches up versus just leaving it as it is. Both are correct and you don't need to redo it. But you will notice the zigzag is completely on the very edge of the fabric, so it's immediately going to stop it from fraying. You're going to go to the irons and press that seam open and attach it so that you can see your seam allowances in your sample packet.